Guys, we are live in YouTube.
Good evening.
YouTubers, welcome. Hello, good evening. Good evening. I am reading all your messages. So today we have literary theory. I have a presentation that is full of terms and names.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening. I am going to read my presentation and tell you a lot of random things. You ready, guys? I'm going to share my screen. YouTubers, be ready. Okay. I'll first mute these noisy Zoomers. And then my presentation. Ta-da-dang! Unit 9, Literary Theory. Array, only one more unit is there, but tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we will have paper 1. My former students who are now teaching at TESS will help you with paper 1 from this channel. Would you like that? So that before the exam, you will get some paper 1 practice also. Guys, so this is day 12. And we have literary theory. I can see that I don't know what is wrong with this screen sharing. It goes like, I can't share my screen, it says, because it pauses my screen sharing when I do live. Screen sharing is paused. Take care, I won't share. Screen show I don't want to do. Okay. First and foremost, we'll start with formalism. When we do formalism, what are the things that we do first? We read about Russian formalism, new criticism, and new criticism came from practical criticism, isn't it, guys? Practical criticism is what new criticism came from. What is practical criticism? The Cambridge professors, I. Richards, F.R. Lewis, William Emerson. They are the practical critics. They are critics from Cambridge. And they advocated the practice of close reading. They believed in the text as autotelic artifacts. And eventually in America came new criticism. First, it was practical criticism in Cambridge, then new criticism in America. At the same time, and even before this, there was Russian formalism. Remember Russian formalism, everyone? Russian formalism is the method of looking at literature as a kind of language. The Russian formalists were linguists. Yesterday, we were saying this. We have Roman Jakobson, Boris Tomaszewski, Viktor Shklovsky, Osip Brick, important figures in Moscow Linguistic Circle and Opoyas. 2 schools were there. Moscow Linguistic Circle, guys, was founded in 1915. It was a group of linguists and grammarians. Remember, guys? And the Opoyas movement is also called Society for the Study of Poetic Language. The Opoyas movement was founded the next year, 1916. And the Russian formalists believed in literariness. Remember yesterday? Defamiliarization, foregrounding, and the new critics had similar ideas. They all believed that the text is autotelic. What do you mean by autotelic? A text is written for its own sake. A text is not written for the sake of representing society. A text is not written for the sake of expressing the author's ideas. The text is written for its own sake. Guys, my favorite example is this. Why do you have children? Because many people say, I want somebody to continue my profession. I want somebody to look after me in old age. I want somebody to look after my business. These are all utilitarian perspectives. A formalist, a Russian formalist or new critic would have children because a child is existing independent of the parents. A child is not existing in order to give parents anything or take care of parents. A child is not existing for any particular purpose. A child is existing for his own sake or her own sake. That is autotelic. Did you understand? A text is existing for its own sake. A novel does not exist in order to show the author's point of view. A novel does not exist in order to reflect society. A novel may look like nonsense, like this painting. It is not reflecting anything. But the form of the text itself is the meaning. The form of the text itself creates its value. That is autotelic. And you have to close read this text. You have to look at the form. Because if you look outside the text, you don't see anything. Because the text is not reflecting anything. Everything is within the text. You have to do close reading of the text. Are you able to follow me, guys? And the new critics believed that looking at the author's intention is useless. The author's intention in writing the text does not mean anything. Looking at how the text affects the reader is also useless. Did you understand? Formalism does not believe that the text is associated with anything else. Formalism believes that a text is independent in itself. A text should be defamiliarized. It should not reflect the society. It should not have any relationship with author or reader. A text should be defamiliarized. A text should connote meanings. Even when it denotes something behind the denotation, there should be connotation, connoted meanings also. First level meaning is denotation. Second level meaning is connotation. Did you understand, guys? For example, in one crash course, I am wearing sari. Throughout another crash course, I am wearing Western clothes. I am not looking good in either of these, I suppose, but still. Why? The denotation is that, okay, she is wearing sari, she is wearing Western clothes. But when somebody wears sari, the connotation is different. She is mature, she is of a good age and she respects her traditions, she is Indian. All those are connoted meanings. When you wear Western clothes, the connoted meanings are, oh, she's fashionable, she's young, other meanings. That is why we all wear sometimes saris and traditional clothes, sometimes Western clothes, because we want to connote all these meanings. Did you understand? So these are the ways in which formalism reads texts. The moment you apply literary theory in life and understand it, literary theory becomes easy and interesting. Literary theory is like mathematics. It is so wonderful. Only thing you have to know the application. You know, why are you studying mathematical tables? Why are you studying trigonometry? Why are you studying geometry? If you know the application, you will know how wonderful mathematics is, isn't it? like that. Literary theory is like that. So in the net exam, in exams, they will ask questions to check whether you have understood these concepts properly. You know, language, to understand academic language, to understand the words, the academic words and meanings. That is one important thing in education. They will definitely check that. They will also check whether you know about authors, whether you know about critical ideas and works, important formalists, whether you have read their biography, whether you have read their works. They will ask quotations, like that kind of questions also will be asked. Okay, so today and tomorrow, in whatever way you can, read extra, read online. Archana is asking whether first reading is denotation and second is connotation. In first meaning, you may understand connoted meanings also. It is not necessary that connoted meanings always come in second reading. Even in the first reading, you can understand connoted meanings. Did you understand? Suppose I am reading a Chinese text. Even in the first reading, I will not get any meaning. Will you understand? Do you understand? So all that is there. Now, structuralism. Guys, structuralism is a very, very important theory also, as everybody knows. In structuralism, we have the life around us, the world around us, understood in terms of structures. In structuralism, we understand everything in terms of structures. I hope new students are also listening to me. Wherever I'm teaching, whatever I'm teaching, you should pay attention and come and listen. Because you are there in my mind, and when I teach, I'm teaching in a way that you will understand. Beginners and new students. If you think this is not for me, I will not attend this, then you will lose out a lot of things. Please don't leave in between, attend all the classes. In your group, please say it was useful so that other people will understand and also attend. Okay? Right. We all have limited time. Our lives are running away fast from us. We have to make most of time and learn fast. Isn't it? Okay. Structuralism is understanding the world in terms of structures. For example, again, my sari example. I looked at this sari. I looked at a white blouse. I said, no, this is not part of the structure that I want. I looked at a yellow blouse. I said, no, this is not part of the structure I want. I looked at a very traditional blouse with long sleeves. I said, no, this is not what I want. I looked at another blouse. I said, no, this is not what I want. And finally, I chose this to go with this. Accessories also we choose like that. Which bindi, which earrings, which necklace, which watch, which bag. We choose like that every day. How to wear clothes, we choose. Why? Because our fashion or clothing is a structure. When I teach you structuralism, I think of what examples to give you, what ideas to share. In this slide, what should I put? Because only what belongs to the structure I should put. If I put some other term like difference here, it will be confusing. That is not part of this structure. Our clothing is structure, can be understood as structure. Our food can be understood as structure. Our lifestyle, our language, our texts. Understood? In structuralism, as all of us know, a very important name is that of Ferdinand de Saussure. Ferdinand de Saussure was a linguist. And how did he contribute to structuralism? For the first time ever, Ferdinand de Saussure showed how language can be understood in terms of structures, how language can be studied in terms of structures. And he showed that don't study Old English, Middle English, Modern English like that in a diachronic manner. Instead, you should study the structures of language that exist at a particular time. Study in a synchronic manner. Language that exists now. Language for emails, language for reports, language for representation, language for literature. Language as it exists at this time of history in many forms, many dialects, many registers. That should be studied. Study the structure of language, not the evolution. And he showed that linguistics should be part of semiotics. Semiotics is a study of signs. Shh. Don't talk. I'm saying, shh. What is this? This is a sign. This is a sign. If I'm wearing sindoor here, it is a sign that I am married. Did you understand? If I am wearing a tattoo on my arm, it is a sign that I am unconventional. Did you understand? There are so many signs around us. These are all signs. Not only language. Language is also science. So the study of language, should be situated within semiotics or semiology. Did you understand? And then came Roland Barth. Roland Barth had a structuralist phase and he also had a post-structuralist phase. In his structuralist phase, he talked about mythology. You know, we create myths. The myth of Mahatma Gandhi, the myth of the ideal woman, the myth of a housewife. Betty Friedan, when she wrote Feminine Mystique, attacked the myth of a housewife. A housewife is happy doing household work. She wants nothing else in life. She wants to do household work and look after children, and she is happy. That was the myth. She broke it. She attacked it and called it Feminine Mystique. In the book Feminine Mystique, that inaugurated second wave of structuralism, Betty Friedan showed that the happy housewife is a myth. So this mythology book by Roland Barth is Mythologies. And in that book, he's showing how myths are signs or symbols. The happy housewife is a sign or symbol that exists within the structure of patriarchy. Patriarchy is a structure. Within that structure, there are signs. Happy housewife, chaste woman, that is another sign. Woman should be chaste. Woman should have a sexy body. Woman should wear parda or wear all the different signs, not only in Islam, in Hinduism, Christianity, everywhere. There are signs of controlling women. Non-Muslims will say parda is bad. But what about Hinduism? In Hinduism also, there are signs which subjugate women. Like the Mangal Sutra, or all those signs of chastity and womanhood and motherhood. The white sari that widows have to wear, for example. So, mythologies actually show the structure of the society. Did you understand? In structuralism, Roland Barthes' mythologies come. And Afterwards, he wrote Death of the Author, an essay which marked the end of the structuralist phase of Roland Barth. Because in Death of the Author, there are signs of post-structuralism. He is showing that the center should be decentered. That is a post-structuralist idea. The center should be decentered. That is a post-structuralist idea. And in Death of the Author, he argues that in a text, as soon as the text comes into being, the author dies and the reader is born. After that, he wrote about readerly and writerly texts. Readerly texts have limited meanings. Writerly texts have an explosion of meanings. Writerly texts show that meanings should be written by the act of reading. And structuralist narratology, structuralist anthropology, all these came into being with Claude Lévi-Strauss. Claude Lévi-Strauss's analysis of myths. Into my themes, he divided myths and he analyzed kinship patterns in ancient societies, primitive societies. All that led to pioneering developments within structuralism. And post-structuralism came into being. As you know, Derrida is a very important figure. Derrida's Structure, Sign and Play in the Discourse of the Human Sciences was the paper that inaugurated post-structuralism. Here, Derrida foreshadowed or he foretold the coming of an event, the event of decentering. Look at this painting. In this painting, the human being is decentered. This is a painting that shows dehumanization and decentering. There is no identity. There are multiple identities. There is no meaning. There is no center. That is the meaning of this painting. Derrida questioned logocentrism and metaphysics of presence. The Western world is after logocentrism. Derrida questions logocentrism or the centrality of the word of God, the word of the authority. Entire Western world was logocentric until then. The Western world believed in the word of God, the word of authority. And Derrida questioned logocentrism and advocated difference of meaning. Difference plus deferment. You understand this painting because of its difference from other portraits where human beings' faces are there. This painting we understand in terms of difference. But as you look at the painting, remember how I spoke? I said, there is no identity, there is no meaning, there is no center. I kept changing the words because of deferment. It is not one word, but meaning is changing from one to the other. Meaning keeps on changing. Meaning is deferred or eternally postponed. Meaning exists in traces. Meaning is not one permanent thing within the text. Rather, it exists in traces. There is free play of meanings in the text. Are you able to follow everybody? Are you feeling bored? Derrida questioned logocentrism, the presence of meaning, and suggested that there should be free play and écriture. Écriture. When I am teaching, when I am lecturing, I am writing on your brain. I am writing on your memory. I am writing. It is a kind of writing. And you are thinking, I understood, but I did not understand. I understood a lot of things, but I can't remember. I don't know if I can remember. I understood, but I'm still confused. Like that you are thinking. Because meaning does not exist as one understanding that you can possess. I understood completely for the rest of my life, I have no doubt. That condition will not exist. Always Understanding is ambiguous. Always we will have confusion. We will have doubts. That is what Derrida meant by a creature. A creature is provisional. It is not permanent. It is temporary. Everything that is characterized by temporariness, everything, all systems of meaning characterized by ambiguity, all systems of meaning characterized by difference or change or postponement, all that is a creature. If you cannot understand completely and correctly and forever, it is because meaning is like that. It is because you are truthful. People who say, I understood completely, I have no doubt, they are liars. Getting me? A creature is true. Fixed logos is untrue. No such thing exists. Got it, guys? And all this leads to deconstruction. You can read, when you read a text on the basis of all these ideas, there is no meaning in the text. There is no center in the text. There is free play of meanings. There are traces of meaning. When you believe all this and read the text, what happens is deconstruction. The text opens itself to multiple interpretations. The text suddenly lays bare its foundations. The text will stop pretending to be unified and it will show that, oh my God, I myself don't know. The text itself is not so sure of itself. I will tell you the story of a teacher, then you will understand. Once upon a time, a teacher taught me theory. Okay? Once upon a time, a teacher taught me literary theory. We were all utterly confused. We could not understand anything because she was speaking in a language that we did not understand. Big things she was saying, we couldn't understand. But that teacher was like, this is literary theory. If you don't understand, you don't know anything. This is the way to teach literary theory. This is great. This is literary theory. Finished. Full stop. Later on, after 10 years, 15 years, I met the same teacher. She had grown old and retired. And she asked me, I met her in a social function. She asked me a question. She said, Kalyani, I have heard that you teach literary theory very well. I have heard from your students that you teach literary theory very well. I said, it's all your blessings, ma'am. Nothing like that. I just teach them in a simple way, that's all. Then she asked me, when I taught you literary theory, did you understand what I taught you? She asked me in my face. I said, ma'am, well, we were so immature, we didn't know anything. Later on, we understood. At that time, maybe we did not understand, but later on, we understood. And then the teacher told me, I'm so sorry, Kalyani, but when I was teaching you, I was very young and I myself did not understand. When I grew older, only I understood. When I taught you, I myself did not understand. She said that. The first teacher, when she taught us, she's the example of logos. Finished. This is the meaning. Full stop. The second teacher, the older teacher, who told me I myself did not know, that is the example of a creature. The text will tell us, I don't know. I am confused. There is ambiguity in the text. There are no fixed meanings in the text. That is a creature. Now, did you understand? A creature is real. Logos is kind of lie. It is untruth. Got it? And deconstruction is trying to bring out the ambiguities of the text. Deconstruction is trying to show that the text is not so unified and great as it pretends to be. Trying to show that the text is full of contradictions. So deconstruction shows the contradictions within the text. Everybody understood? And an important group of post-structuralists and deconstructionists are the Yale critics. Yale critics like Paul D. Mann, J. Hillis Miller, then Jeffrey Hartman, Harold Bloom also, Barbara Johnson was associated. They are all Yale critics. Got it, everybody? Am I boring you? Dear friends, I'm explaining so easily because I have taken a lot of strain to understand properly. If you understand properly, the moment you understand properly, you will be able to explain easily, teach easily, write easily, do research easily. Understanding properly is not easy. It will take years. It is like driving or swimming. Once you start driving, you know driving well, you will drive easily. You will swim easily. It is like that. So, even if it takes years, even if it is difficult, understand properly. Everything, think this way, that way, read more and more, understand properly. Then it will be easy. Okay, next, modernism. What to study? You have to study modernist literature. Avant-garde movements, you know, right? All the avant-garde movements like Impressionism, Surrealism, Symbolism, Futurism, Dadaism, Expressionism. This is Edward Monk's Scream. All these avant-garde movements are examples of modernism. Also, in avant-garde, there are symbolists. Charles Baudelaire, Mallarmé. Yesterday I said, remember? Then images. They're all important figures in modernism. And modernism used myths in a brilliant manner. Guys, do you know our book, What About Theory? In Bodhi Tree, there is the book, What About Theory? That is the best book that covers all this in a very simple manner. If you don't have that book and if you can afford it or if you want it, you can buy it. All the basics of theory are there in a very, very easy manner. It is written primarily by students only, from their perspective. Brilliant students who got JRF, all of them. They wrote it and we published it. I was there to guide them long ago. They read all the important books in literary theory. All the books, all the important books they read. And they took points from there and made this book. What About Theory from Bodhi Tree? Okay, modernism uses the symbol or element of myth. You know, in Ulysses, there is Ulysses myth. In The Wasteland also, there is the mythical method. It was T.S. Eliot who talked about the mythical method. And then, in modernism, there is also the element of metropolis, the city. The city is a very important element in modernism. The wanderer in the city. Flaneur, F-L-A-N-E-U-R, or wanderer in the city is very important in modernism. Okay, Ulysses is an example. The novel Ulysses shows a flaneur or wanderer in the city. James Joyce, Walter Benjamin, all were associated with the wanderer in the city. And then postmodernism. What to study? I have given some terms here. Postmodernism is the theory of depthlessness. It was Andy Warhol who painted Marilyn Monroe like this in different colors. And he is showing depthlessness. There is a woman behind Marilyn Monroe. There is a man behind Michael Jackson. But that man is lost. We don't know him. We only look at the screen image. What is the real? What are the real problems encountered by that person? What is that person like? We don't know. It is a culture of depthlessness, where there is the disappearance of the real. Postmodernism is constantly evoking this depthlessness. Are you following, guys? And meta-narrative. You know, Jean Baudrillard said that Postmodernism is incredulity towards meta-narratives. That means postmodernism is against meta-narratives. Postmodernism is against meta-narratives. Postmodernism believes in mini-narratives. Mini-narratives are local events, small practices. They are not grand stories. Grand, big, overarching stories of a country, of a gender, of any social events. This is reality, only this is reality. If you say that is a meta-narrative. When my teacher taught me literary theory and said, only this is literary theory, you have to understand like this, you can't question, you can't think beyond this, only this is literary theory. When she said that, that is a meta-narrative. But the stories of all, when she asked the students, did you understand what I say? What was your experience? She's asking for mini narratives. When students speak, when the margins speak, it is mini narratives. Are you able to understand? And then Jean Baudrillard himself again talked about hyper reality. And he talked about how reality is replaced by its representations or simulations. He talked about simulations and simulacra. It was Patricia Waugh who wrote the book Metafiction. Postmodern literature is about metafiction, or fiction that shows its fictionality. Fiction that shows its artificiality. Fiction that shows that this is not reality. Are you following? Those who are finding it a little difficult, please understand that for every human being, to hear all these things for the first time is difficult. You have to keep on listening, reading, writing, listening. Then I will explain again. Then only you will understand. All my beginner students who have just started learning, if you are there, please understand that you have to watch this video again and again, write down points, and then you will understand more and more. Now, parody and pastiche. Parody and pastiche are two techniques used by postmodernism as well as modernism. Parody is imitating an original. Pastiche is using a style which is not your own. You are not actually imitating it. You are not imitating anything. You are just showing that there is no originality. These are two important terms in postmodernism. There was a debate over parody and pastiche between Linda Hutcheon and Frederick Jameson. Linda Hutcheon and Frederick Jameson debated on parody and pastiche. Okay? And then Michel Foucault is a very important theorist of postmodernism. Michel Foucault's ideas show depthlessness, show that every discourse is constructed. Nothing is there for real. Everything is in a state of becoming. Getting me, guys? Michel Foucault showed that sexuality is not what it seems. It is in a state of becoming. Sciences are not what they seem. They also have to be deconstructed. They are also in a state of becoming. Somebody in Zoom pointed out Disneyland. Yes, I forgot to mention it. Disneyland is an example of hyper-reality, where reality is replaced by its representation. The reality of Marilyn Monroe, we don't know. The reality of America, we don't know. We are replacing the reality of America with its representation. Then postcolonialism. Postcolonialism is all about literature, and there are so many theorists like Frantz Fanon, who wrote Black Skin, White Masks, The Wretched of the Earth. Edward Said, who wrote Orientalism, Culture and Imperialism, and other works. Please, these are all sure shot authors and areas. Tonight and tomorrow morning, look up all the major works of these writers. From this crash course, you will definitely get lots of questions. From all the authors we have covered in the crash course, all the information we have covered, you will definitely get lots of questions. Please read extra all these works. Don't take them for granted. The important works, all the works of these writers, look up before the exam. I trust you to do well. Edward Said, all his important works. Don't just be happy with 2 works. On Late Style is by Edward Said, for example. What is the book that he wrote about beginnings? He wrote about beginnings of people's careers, books, etc., and also ending. What are the important speeches and essays by Edward Said, etc., also you should know. Homi Ke Baba. Everybody knows Location of Culture, Nation and Narration. Everybody knows hybridity, mimicry. But that is not all. There are so many important essays and terms and works that you may not know. Okay? Those who have the exhaustive PDF from our literary criticism and theory course, please read it. Otherwise, also, please Google search. There are so many websites that will readily give you important terms, books, etc. Please Google search tonight itself. Don't be lazy. Okay? After I finish this slide, I will give you more details on postcolonialism. Then Gayatri Spivak is there. She also wrote many important works. Concepts like subaltern, diaspora, race, nationalism, language. Instead of boring you, let me ask you a few questions. Shall I ask you? Pitfalls of National Consciousness is an important chapter in which book? Pitfalls of National Consciousness. That is right. It is an important essay in The Wretched of the Earth. Very good. Now, I want to ask you another question. This one is easy. The World, the Text and the Critic is by Edward Said. I am asking you, was it published in 1979, 1983, or 1988? 1979, 1983, or 1988? When was it published? Chronology questions will come. The World, the Text and the Critic. 2-3 seconds people took. I don't know whether they were Google searching. It is 1983, correct. 1983. What is the book by Raymond Williams that came in 1973? What is the book by Raymond Williams that came in 1973? It is The Country and the City. The Country and the City. Orientalism has 2 epigraphs. One is from Karl Marx. The other is from Benjamin Disraeli. Which novel by Benjamin Disraeli is he quoting from in the second epigraph? Edward Said in Orientalism has given 2 epigraphs. One is from Karl Marx. The other is by Benjamin Disraeli. The East is a carrier. That is Benjamin Disraeli's words. Which novel is this from? Those who have read Orientalism will know this is what they will think. It is from Benjamin Disraeli's novel, Tancred. Tancred. Will you remember, guys? Gayatri Spivak talked about epistemic Tancred, T-A-N-C-R-E-D. Are Nimisha, it is there in our PDF. Our criticism and theory PDF, read it. Gayatri Spivak talked about epistemic violence in a critique of post-colonial reason. A critique of post-colonial reason by Gayatri Spivak. There she talked about epistemic violence. It means imposing our ideas on other people. From whom did she borrow this term? From whom did she borrow this term? That is right. She borrowed it from Michel Foucault. Very good. Who wrote the famous essay, The Commitment to Theory? Defending literary theory. Who wrote the literary essay, The Commitment to Theory? It is Homi Ke Baba. My previous students, you have not studied literary theory PDF properly. You better do it before it's too late. Study the literary theory PDF. I have given truckloads of information there. Who wrote the book Black Atlantic? That is easy. Who wrote the book Black Atlantic? Guys in YouTube are saying, it is Paul Gilroy. Paul Gilroy. Who used the term contrapunctal reading? Who used the term contrapunctal reading? Contrapunctal reading is a term used by Edward Said. Edward Said. Will you remember, everybody? Yes. Then Marxism. In Marxism, we have to study Frankfurt School. Herbert Marcuse, Adorno, Horkheimer, Walter Benjamin. We have to study Althusserian Marxism. Hai Althusser's terms like ideology, then Althusser's ISAs and RSAs, interpellation. We have to talk about Georg Lukács. It is Lukacs. Georg Lukács. He quarreled with the modernists. Remember? We also have to study Raymond Williams, Terry Eagleton, Frederick Jameson. Today itself, sit and read about the major terms of these authors. One question from Terry Eagleton, Frederick Jameson, or Raymond Williams is sure. Always they ask at least one question, maybe more than one also. After I tell you all this, don't go wrong in the exam. You can easily pass this exam. I'm showing you lots of authors and you have time also. God is with you. Okay, you have time without studying, without remembering. If you write the exam and fail, क्या करूंगी मैं? डंडा लेके मारूंगी. That's all. बोली ना? Instead of studying, simply you are wasting time a lot. थप्पड़ भी हाँ पार्सल करूंगी मैं. डंडे से पिटाई हाँ जरूर. पार्सल नहीं करूंगी, मैं खुद आऊंगी. All the important cities in India I will come to, even if I lose money, no problem. And I will say, all my YouTube and Zoom babies, come here, so that thappad maar sakti main. Okay, you read this short authors, read and research tonight itself, tonight and tomorrow. Instead of studying, now it is clear, many of you don't know. Instead of studying, when will this thing come, date come, when will that come, this come, walking about without studying. Remove your earphones. Let me talk to your family members. Suno, family members of my students, husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, children of my students, listen, they are not studying. You better make them sit and study. सब मेरे स्टूडेंट्स को बताना कि ऐसे घूमने से कुछ नहीं होता. They have to study properly. Okay, energy is back. Last 10 minutes. Psychoanalytic criticism. Psychoanalytic criticism. Okay, Mubashira has studied. Okay, Mubashira has studied. I'm talking about other people. Mubashira is answering a lot of questions. Psychoanalytic criticism. You have to know the concept of the unconscious. Psychoanalytic criticism. What is Freud's concept of unconscious? They might give you 4 options and say, which of these is Freud's correct explanation of the term unconscious? A and B, B and C, C and D. Read what are Freud's ideas about unconscious. Then what did Freud say about dream? Ayman, Fatima, Mubashira, they are all excellent students. They are the students who are answering. Other people are not answering. Okay. Dream, Freud's concept of dream. Listen, everybody. What did Freud say about dream? 4 points they will give, and then you will be confused. So please read it tonight. Theory of psychosexual development. What do you mean by that, guys? In Freud's theory of psychosexual development, the child develops in stages. What are the stages? First, the oral stage, then the anal stage, then phallic stage, latent stage, and genital stage. These are the 5 stages of psychosexual development. He also talked about ego, superego, and id. Ego is the conscious mind. Superego is the conscience. And id is the unconscious. Isn't it? And the unconscious works through displacement and condensation, correct? Freud interpreted Hamlet in terms of Oedipal complex. Remember? And Freud also talked about eros and thanatos, libido. Freud talks about uncanny, the uncanny. Will you remember to look up all these terms? YouTubers, I hope you're enjoying. Am I overburdening you? This is too much. We can't study it so much. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to cover everything before the exam. And then using this video, you can again study. And when the exam result comes, wow, finally I have passed, you should say. It is my greatest dream. Everything mere bas ke kuch bhi hai, I will do. Whatever I can, I will do. Only do your part, little bit. I am ready to do more and more and more every day. Please study so that, after the exam, all of you will tell me, ma'am, I passed. Because of my studying, I studied, I did hard work and I passed. If you don't do hard work, then little more hard work if you don't do, then you may have to regret. We don't want that. Carl Jung talked about archetypes. Carl Jung talked about archetypes. Parapraxis also Freud talked about. Parapraxis means slip of the tongue, Freudian slip. And Carl Jung talked about archetype, anima and animus, collective unconscious. Remember, guys? And from Carl Jung came archetypal criticism. Before I go on to Jacques Lacan, there is Gestalt theory. Gestalt theory. What is that? looking at the whole rather than the parts. Gestalt emphasizes the whole rather than WHOLE, whole rather than the parts. Isn't it? Now, Jacques Lacan is called French Freud. He did a return to Freud. He famously said, the unconscious is structured like a language. The unconscious is structured like a language. And Jacques Lacan studied the or analyzed the essay, The Purloined Letter by Edgar Allan Poe. Remember? And he talked about the structure of the unconscious in a different way. Freud said the ego and superego. Lacan said real, imaginary, and symbolic. Lacan talked about the real stage, that is before the realm of language. And then comes the imaginary. At the beginning of imaginary stage is the mirror stage. Imaginary begins with the mirror stage. And after that, there is the realm of language. Completely we come into the realm of language in the symbolic stage. The symbolic is the realm of language. Imaginary is when we are trying to make sense of ourselves, but we are not completely sure. We are trying to understand ourselves, but we are not using language completely. That is the imaginary stage. It begins with mirror stage. Lacan also talked about sociology and linguistics. He mentioned terms like, he talked about terms like floating signifier. Lacan talked about desire. Lacan talked about the big I and the little I, or the big A and the little a, big other and little other, all this we can say. And he wrote only one book in his lifetime, Écrits. Lacanian theory may be asked, need, demand, and desire, correct? Need, demand, and desire. Three. Real is the realm of need. And imaginary is the realm of demand. And symbolic is the realm of desire. Apart from Lacan, there are also other people associated with psychoanalysis like Deleuze and Guattari. Deleuze and Guattari talked about schizoanalysis. Julia Kristeva also combined psychoanalysis and feminism. Deleuze and Guattari also talked about rhizome, minor literature. All these are important. Please, today itself, look up so that you will remember. In feminism, there are originally 3 waves of feminism. Now we talk about 4 waves of feminism. The first wave is early 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century. Then in the 20th century, we have the second wave, which is the period of the 1960s. And after that, the third wave in the 1980s. After that came the 4th wave or post-feminism. Remember, in 1848, there was the Seneca Falls Convention. Important milestones in feminism were the publication of The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir, the publication of Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan, Kate Millett's Sexual Politics, the French feminist Hélène Cixous, Julia Kristeva, they talked about body and sexuality, about language and écriture feminine. Are you following, everybody? Elaine Showalter talked about feminist, feminine, and female. Female is the females, the feminine stage of writing came first. The feminine stage came first, then the feminist stage of writing, then the female stage. She also talked about woman as reader and woman as writer. Woman as reader of literature is feminist critique. When you read male literature, you have to critique it, feminist critique. But woman as writer is associated with gynocriticism. She also wrote literature of their own. She wrote about hysteria. So many important figures in feminism are there. Down to Judith Butler, who actually started queer studies and other aspects of gender studies. There are different kinds of feminism. Anglo-American feminism, French feminism, those are the earliest kinds. Now today we have network feminism, cyber feminism, so many kinds of feminism, black feminism, womanism, and post-feminism also. We looked at post-feminism, Susan Faludi in cultural studies a little bit. Backlash theory, correct. Then we have new historicism, terms like old historicism, which believed that history is unchanging. But new historicism believes that history exists as archives. They are like shelves in a library. All the shelves may not be complete. History is fragmented. History is not complete all the time. It is fragmented. History is textual. Textuality of history and historicity of texts. Stephen Greenblatt talked about self-fashioning. And Raymond Williams talked about cultural materialism. And all the new historicists studied Renaissance literature. They questioned the canon. Are you following me, everyone? All very important. Reader response criticism is there. In reader response criticism, I have given the important figures here. Please look up these figures. These figures means these theorists. Their writings, their texts. Hans Robert Yoss is associated with reception aesthetics, reception theory. E.D. Hirsch, many times they've asked questions. Phenomenology, hermeneutics, all important. Please read. And then there is eco-criticism and also diaspora criticism. Will you read all this? They are all important aspects of literary theory. So I have given you an overview. I have shown you what are the important authors you should look up tonight and tomorrow morning. You will definitely get lots of questions from literary theory. Lots of questions will come from literary theory. Don't be lazy. Okay. Now we have our own rapid fire ready for you. We will have rapid fire now for some questions. Rest of the game is in your hands. Okay. Today we have with us Reshma Rajan. She is our academic head at TESS and she has been helping you a lot. She is here with us to ask you questions. Our team TESS is there. TESS Research and Development Wing is there. They are always making questions for you. Hundreds and thousands of questions we have already shared with you. Please study all that. Reshma, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Reshma. Good evening from all our students to Reshma also. How are you, Reshma?
I'm okay, ma'am. How are you?
I am fine too. I have been giving them a lot. Were you there? Were you listening to me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, you were? I was giving them a lot of, guidelines to do homework.
Yes,
ma'am. Everybody who is writing net should follow it. I hope they will. Right. Now, let me share the screen. Shall I, Reshma?
Yes, ma'am.
Here is the screen. Okay. So, are you ready, guys? First question.
First question. To approach a poem by way of its origin in the mind of its maker. What kind of fallacy is this? Options: A, affective fallacy, B, intentional fallacy, C, informer fallacy. To approach a poem by way of its origins in the mind of its maker. Everybody knows the answer, ma'am.
Yes, the answer is
Intentional fallacy.
very good. Next.
Next question. Who among the following does not belong to the Moscow linguistic circle? Is it Roman Jakobson? Is it Boris Tomaskevsky? Is it Boris Eichenbaum?
Who
All
does
are
not belong to Moscow linguistic circle?
yes.
The answer is
The answer is Boris Eichenbaum.
he belonged to Opoyas.
Yeah.
Next.
Next question. Which formalists mark the distinction between poetry and fiction by arguing that the former was a single voice, that is, poetry was a single voice, but the latter was a complex of voices? Options: A, Viktor Shklovsky, B, Mikhail Bakhtin, C, Vladimir Brock.
Who talked about poetry and fiction? The answer is
Yes, B, Mikhail Bakhtin.
very good. Most of you got it right, but most of you got the spelling wrong. Most of you are writing Bakhtin. It is Bakhtin. Bakhtin.
Now, next question. By introducing which theory did the structuralists replace defamiliarization of the Russian formalists? Is it by foregrounding theory, or by deconstruction theory, or by both A and B?
Which theory replaced defamiliarization?
The answer is foregrounding theory.
Foregrounding is related to Russian formalism also, but defamiliarization was an early idea. It was replaced by foregrounding, and the idea of foregrounding was taken up by structuralists as well.
Yes, ma'am. Next question. According to whom the practice of psychoanalysis is dependent exclusively on words, which means on language? Is it Sigmund Freud? Is it Jacques Lacan? Is it Felix Guattari?
The practice of psychoanalysis is dependent exclusively on language, said
Jacques Lacan.
That's right. Then
Next, identify the 1957 book where the author undertook an ideological critique of various products of bourgeois culture, ranging from soap to advertising. The
1957 book, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Options: A, structural anthropology, B, the savage mind, C, mythologies.
Again, they are saying the correct answer.
Yes, answer is C, mythologies.
Mythologies by Roland Barth came in 1957. Okay, next.
Now, which term played a key role in Derrida's engagement with the philosophy of Edmund Husserl in Speech and Phenomena? Options: phrase, option B, difference, option C, logos. Which term played a key role in Derrida's engagement with the philosophy of Edmund Husserl? B, difference.
Difference and its relation to Edmund Husserl, please look up. These are all pointers for your research. Next.
Next question. Identify the feminist text that describes the change in the late 1970s as a shift from andro text to gyno text. The author also wrote a literature of their own. Identify the text. Options: Towards a Feminist Poetics, B. The Law of Medusa, C. Sexual Politics.
You should not have given them that clue at the end. Now they will answer.
Yes.
Remember,
It is Towards a Feminist Poetics.
Towards a Feminist Poetics by Elaine Showalter talked about androtex and gynotex. Remember? Next.
Next question. Who opposed the valorization of author and placed discourse about author as well as text in his seminal essay, What is an Author? Everybody is answering already. Options: Jacques Derrida, B. Roland Barth, C. Michel Foucault.
The valorization of author is opposed by
Michel Foucault.
in What is an Author?
Yes.
Then,
Now, who developed a rhetorical type of deconstruction in his allegories of reading? Is it Paul Deman? Is it J. Phyllis Miller? Is it Geoffrey Hartman?
Allegories of Reading, very important book by,
Paul Deman.
he was a Yale critic. Remember, guys?
Now, the concept of consilience or the unity of knowledge was the idea of Joseph Carroll, Charles Darwin, E.O. Wilson. This is also,
Wow.
yes.
I don't know the answer.
This is also the name of his book.
I see.
Yes.
The answer is
E.O. Wilson.
Wilson wrote Consilience. Like that, we can remember.
Yes.
Do you know the Malayalam word ayyo? Like ayyo, you can say yo. Wilson.
Yes.
Ayyo. Yes, Reshma?
Yes, ma'am. He was a sociobiologist, American sociobiologist.
Thank you, Reshma. I didn't know him at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Next.
Now, next question. According to Eagleton, structuralism has proved that there is nothing dash about codes, progressive about codes, innocent about codes, guilty about codes.
I know that one. It must be innocent.
Yes, ma'am. The answer is innocent.
Codes are never innocent. They hide a lot more than they seem to convey. That is, they connote other meanings. They not only denote, but also connote.
Yes. Next question. Who substituted the concept of social formation for the Marxist notion of totality? Is it Louis Althusser? Is it Pierre Macquarie? Is it George Lukács?
Social formations substituted with totality. That is very important. That is very famous. It is?
It is Louis Althusser.
Althusser is correct. Then,
next question. The concept of effective stylistics is associated with which theory? Is it reader response theory? Is it psychoanalytic theory? Or is it Russian formalism?
Wow, Zoomers and YouTubers are all saying correct answers always. I'm so proud.
Yes, ma'am.
The answer is reader response theory. Affective stylistics. Which reader response critic coined that term? It is Stanley Fish. Next.
Next question. Which queer theorist introduced the idea that sexuality is a continuum, not a fixed and static set of binary oppositions? Is it Adrian Rich? Is it Judith Butler? Is it Donna Haraway?
Sexuality is a continuum.
Yes. It is Adrian Rich.
Very good. Many of you said it.
Now, what kind of narration is called omniscient narration according to narratology? Is it internal? Is it external? Or is it spiritual?
Omniscient narration means the narrator can know everything. He looks at everybody's mind, and so it must be external.
Yes, ma'am.
He is looking from outside and knowing everything. It is an easy question, actually. Omniscient narrator can look into everybody's minds. It is possible only if he is standing outside and looking at it, right? Then.
Next question. Who described New Historicism as an intensified willingness to read all of the textual traces of the past with the attention traditionally conferred on literary text? An intensified willingness to read all of the textual traces of the past with attention traditionally conferred on literary texts. Is it Hayden White? Is it Stephen Greenblatt? Is it Louis Montrose?
Who defined and described New Historicism thus? It is
Stephen Greenblatt.
Ta-da-dang. Then.
Now, this question is very easy. Which 1970 book became the Bible of the post-colonial critical theory that articulated the position of the colonized? Is it Orientalism? Is it culture and imperialism? Is it the wretched of the earth?
Remember, 1978 book. So it is
Orientalism.
right.
Now, which term used by Baudrillard refers to something that replaces reality with its representation? Is it pastiche? Is it simulacra? Is it metafiction?
That also they know it is
Simulacra.
simulacra.
Yes, ma'am.
So that brings us, oh, I finished it fast. I mean, I quickly moved the slides, I think. We have the same number of questions as every day. Thank you so much, everybody. It was very good and enjoyable, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Reshma.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. We're all learning together. And this is the end of today's session. Very soon, we will cover all the units and you will be studying